Shabbat Shalom, my friends. I saw a great license plate today. The license plate read Shaloha. Clearly, this was a license plate issued to a Jew, thus Shalom, who lives in Hawaii, thus Aloha. So, Shaloha, everybody. January 27th was International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Among the books that I always turn to on this date is a graphic novel by Art Spiegelman entitled Maus, M-A-U-S. In that amazing and world-celebrated graphic novel, a novel centering around Spiegelman's father's experiences during the Holocaust, his mother's suicide, and then Spiegelman's relationship with his father. Jews are pictured as mouse, Nazis as cats, Poles as pigs, Americans were dogs, English as fish, the French were frogs, the Swedes as deer. To date, Maus is the only graphic novel ever to have been awarded a Pulitzer Prize. It has in total received so far 11 major literary works. Maus has been challenged by some, and sometimes with good reason. For example, the choice of pigs to represent the Poles has stirred up some well-deserved serious controversy. But Maus remains utterly unique, painfully open, disturbingly clear and honest, and thus a must-read in many schools and many homes in America. So when a Tennessee County School Board removed Maus from its recommended reading list for 8th graders this particular week, there was immediately and continues to be a flood tide of anger sweeping not only the American Jewish community, but the American literary and academic world as well. Neil Gaiman, one of my absolutely favorite contemporary authors, who has written a number of award-winning works, blasted the school board's action, writing on Twitter, quote, "There's only one kind of people who would vote to ban Maus, whatever they are calling themselves these days." I can only say, amen. Plus, oh my God, during this week, the book, which I believe contained perhaps 8 uses of the word damn, and thus is deemed unsuitable for 8th graders' ears. Houston, we Jews have a growingly serious problem in this country right now, and we would be well advised to be deeply concerned. Our Sedra is Mishpatim, Exodus 21:1 and following. Last week's Sedra, you remember, was Yitro, which contained the 10 Commandments, the Aseret HaDibrot. Last week we were therefore confronted by one of the Torah's most important and sublime declarations. But this week, Mishpatim, is all about the nitty-gritty of what it will mean to live in a dynamic covenant with God. The word mishpatim means ordinances and is etymologically related to shofet, mishpatim, shofet, which means judge. Here we learn how to treat a Hebrew slave, or one who insults his parents, or one whose ox gores an innocent person, about what to do with witches, or with someone who has sexual activity with an animal, or one who is a gossip. So let's turn to the threats from Putin's Russia, which is now being posed against the Ukraine. Don't worry, we're drilling deep here. We're not trying to pull Henry Kissinger out of a hat. 20 years ago, the Budapest Memorandum was issued. At the very core of its concern was the declaration that all signatories agreed not to change any national borders by force. Borders matter, and they must be respected. Borders really do matter. In Hebrew, the word for a border is gvul. Gvul is frequently used in everyday talk in Israel. Yesh gvul! means enough is enough. There are limits. This far, no further. Yesh gvul. When you come to a point in the road where going any further means that you are entering into territory controlled by the Palestinian Authority, there is a sign, gvul lefonecha, border ahead. There is a border ahead of you. Be careful, don't cross it. When something is mugbal, from gvul, mugbal, it is limited, restricted. Borders matter. Boundaries matter. That's what our Sedra is all about. Gvulot, boundaries, limitations. Yes, you may own a human being, but there is a gvul. You must treat that person as a human being. You can build your own house any way that you want, but you lose your autonomy when it comes to building the roof. You must put up barriers so that no one would fall off of your roof. It's required. You can own all of the oxen you can afford, but if your ox repeatedly attacks people, then a stiff price is to be paid. Free speech is important. Talk away. Jewish, talk away. But gossip can kill, and so you are forbidden to gossip. Yesh gvul. There are limitations that must be observed, nitty-gritty limitations that give life and substance and meaning to the lofty words of the 10 Commandments. Judaism in many ways is built around a system of limitations, gvulot, that flow from its core religious values. Shabbat begins, then comes Havdalah, 3 stars in the sky, limitations. Shabbat ends. Waging war, defensive war, is an obligation. But don't destroy the environment while you are defending your own borders. You can eat this food, but not that food, because what we feel permitted to eat establishes a gvul between ourselves and all others. We need those gvulot so that we don't become invisible to others and we don't become invisible to ourselves. We worship God, however we define and understand that term. We worship God, but we do not portray God in any physical fashion. Such a portrayal would confuse, such a portrayal would in any case always be false. A portrayal as a betrayal. Worship God, but stay away from physical representations. Yesh gvul. Speaking of gvul, we're going to stop here and go to the second presentation. Thanks for your patience.